What's going on, everybody? Been a minute. As far as for videos, I really don't post videos. If you listen to prior videos about my blog on life, other things, also kind of been focused on music, family, um, and just those things in general. But this video, again, as I'm looking at it, it's something that I felt like needed to be made pending on the review of what I've seen happen in the space and where I think the space is moving in the future. That could totally change. Could totally be, something different. And if you kind of follow me, I don't put out a lot of videos all the time. I'm just not constantly putting out content because I realize like I'm not perfect in my own review. Not perfect in coming up with those things. And I like to post things that have some kind of quality content that actually might help. And like to vet my own strategies and vet my own hypotheses, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So just going to take a look at a few things and talk about what I did in November and December and how my own hypothesis is played out so far. So one of the videos that I had posted from the expectation that possibly, actually, let me rephrase that. I didn't post a video. I just had a thought of a video I recorded back in November, December, and my thought was, considering that everybody thinking that Hex, where it was at, was like a bullish flag and that it was going to break out, and that people were thinking that there would be a massive reversal with the Fed pivot, etc., all of that kind of stuff, and I kind of felt like that was false. That was around the 20 cent range area period in time, so kind of around in this area here. And I felt like maybe the market could do one or two things, either break down or break out. Still watching that, but as I've kind of been watching it playing, I've been trying to think about what's the max pain for not just the Hex community, but for everybody in general. On the S&P 500, considering that, you can kind of see it's following this trend line. But since my older videos where I said, hey, maybe we might have reached a bottom, around September and August, where I kind of noticed this and I talked about it. It has, for the most part, been bullish, but bullish with a lower high. And we've painted, kind of similar in this situation here. I would say a higher low, but in comparison to the past, still lower. So I don't feel confident to say that the general market itself has reversed. But I do feel confident in saying that, we might be at a place where there's good opportunities to look into other projects, to buy other positions that you may want to consider, because of the fact that, from the cultural perspective, on Twitter, you're not hearing a lot of bullish talk. Even with my family, I've had people who have been watching the news, and just the general populace outside. If you go outside and just walk or listen, or maybe you talk to your family, they honestly feel that crypto is a scam and that it's horrible and that you should invest in it, because the overall community of people out there, they're painting that picture. They're really painting that picture. So if you're not aware, let me pull this up here. While all this was happening, around this time frame, while all this, bad news has been going out, November, December time frame, Kramer saying don't buy stocks, quietly behind the scenes, which hasn't been put into the news, JP Morgan, their crypto wallet trademark was approved. So you got FTX, you got all of these exchanges and these scandals, but this is, to me, from a perspective of investment perspective, is a big thing. It's not a small thing to take lightly. JP Morgan, Chase Morgan, Chase Bank, these massive banks have a lot of capital and a lot of money that they can input into Bitcoin and Ethereum, because those are the two main running factors that currently exist. And somebody that I do follow by the name of Sami, he's a really cool guy, and he makes a lot of really great content on things like this. He talks about it, but the biggest concern right now, based off other videos I've seen and just general thought, if JP Morgan, with all of their money and all of their influence, can come into the market and pretty much buy Bitcoin, or even buy ETH for that matter, if they get themselves in a position where they own 90% of the blockchain, in a way, that money and that influence gives them a certain amount of control over the blockchain and where it goes. And one of the things that Sami pointed out that I like to follow, because he's one guy who's been in the space for a while, he pointed out that this double top right here was manipulation. So it makes a lot of sense. If Bitcoin was supposed to go to 100,000 and then break down, that makes sense. But if these major players, these big banks here, are thinking about taking their money and their capital and infusing it, they could have easily manipulated the price and caused a reverse bear market, which lined up perfectly with the Super Bowl, right? I don't know if you guys remember the Super Bowl, when the game happened around January and we had this little pump. Everybody had saw and seen crypto and all the commercials. Now all of that retail money, all of those people who pumped their money in and who got on exchanges, they've lost everything. The community, the people, the common people who would have thought about crypto right now have lost their money, lost their livelihood, lost a lot. And by Zen, when I talk about Zen, that was one of the main factors on Zen that just kind of got me upset, because the Zen itself got picked up by major exchanges here, and they bought on the exchange, and basically their positions went to zero. So even if it was free to mint it, people were minting it for free, and these exchanges were putting it on the exchange, and therefore selling it to people when the price was going to go down to zero. I'm going to talk about Zen in just a second regarding that and some of my hypotheses about it. But yeah. But to make a long story short in some kind of way, if I can, when you really think about it, these people would not invest or put their money in a position if they didn't feel that maybe they can make a profit off of it or take advantage of people. And so we got to think about the larger narrative really that's at play. And as we all know, that narrative is to get all of the people who came in, at this point, that were sore, that got burned, that lost 90% of their positions, 90% of the people that invested in FTX, that were involved in massive exchange scandals, and to get them to build their trust and put their trust into this system, with the banks own the wallets and own the keys, and therefore own the financial power. I mean, ultimately, it's no different than it is today, because 90% of us, we have a bank account. We put our money in a credit union or a bank account. But at the end of the day, even if you go to withdrawal of your money from the bank, I can't just go to the bank. Say I had $1 million, I have to schedule that so that the bank can have the money physically on location. And I may have to wait a few days for them to actually give me that money, because 9 times out of 10, they're not holding that much cash, and you're really at their mercy. So it's a really unique time. It's a plus and a minus, because you have to think that if these guys pump the prices of these assets, and they have the 90% of the market cap within Bitcoin and within ETH, then they can determine which altcoins are acceptable or not. And I think that's where, we may see a pump that's nice, where we get a lot of return on our income. But the problem is, if the product we're in doesn't fit the overall narrative, if these guys in the WEF or whatever get their way, as far as in control, we'll probably see ourselves at a point where the coin you're invested in won't be accepted, or could be blacklisted, or could be illegal to have, or could, the SEC could start going after these coins and these movements, to basically destroy them, which is it's terrifying. But I think at this point now in history, is not necessarily gonna happen, because they can't come into Bitcoin, they can't come into ETH, where 90% of the people in it their minds are on DeFi. They don't trust the keys. They've seen what happened to FTX, so they're gonna have to build up their communities from people and build that trust into their own systems. Thereby, I'm speaking about JP Morgan and those main big banks, before they can implement controls. Because once they get their community and they get their community on board, then I think that fight's going to be between two communities. And the sad thing is, like, when I hear people say, "Oh, crypto's bad, it's horrible," they're only being told the perspective from the exchange point. And we all know that exchanges don't have our best interest in mind. So when they say crypto's bad, they don't understand that if you have your own wallet and you have your own keys and you have your own coins on your own wallet, it's not bad for you. It's not bad for you, unless somebody gets your keys and they have ill intent and then they steal everything that you have. And that could happen with your bank account. Somebody could hack your bank account information and then clear out your bank account if they get your debit card, for example. So that narrative they're going to try to paint for fear to get people to basically give them trust is baseless, and it's just a control factor. And I know I've said this to myself and people in the past. People forget that I'm going to bring in China. We treat China, and I think this is a media narrative, they treat China like it's a regular country, to where, hey, the Chinese are doing this, we want to be like them. But people keep forgetting that China is a communist country. They can do whatever they want to their people. Technically, they could mask it, hide behind the media, and be killing millions of people and not be publishing it, and still continue life as normal, no different than North Korea. But the people in the WEF and people in America that have a socialist mindset, that want to be like China, basically have those controls. It's like China is inserting its control subvertly through their influence that way. And maybe it's the fear of world war. Maybe it's that fear that kind of keeps people keeps people away. I'm not quite sure. But we can't forget that at the end of the day, there are people out there with ill intent. And so just kind of throwing these things at you. Again, with Zen, and I put up a video about this, and maybe have to correct myself, but I realized something. Initially when I saw Zen, and I saw that these exchanges were picking up, basically 30 to at least 30 to 40% of the control of the current supply of Zen. I thought that's bad, because yes, they have this all on their exchanges, and there are people trading on the exchanges. They're just sitting on the coins and the value of the coins, which, here's one thing, Gate.io could say one day, we don't want to carry Zen anymore. We're going to delist it from our exchange. So there'll be a massive run on their website, people trying to sell Gate.io, but then Gate.io will just go to their own decentralized wallet, and then they'll just dump whatever they have left on the open market and sell it, But it's not in their best interest to do so now, because they're making money. They make money on the fees and the transfer, and it's the new shiny thing. But what I realize is that everybody else who has Zen, the people that are basically selling it, the people that are arbitraging the price, and you can see clearly in some cases where, other than having the NFTs that have come out, a lot of people are on there and they're just selling it. Like, they're just dumping it. And it's so, and I feel like the inflated portion is so long. Like, literally last week, this was $2 trillion, I would say, $2 trillion that was sitting in there, 2.5 trillion. It's still increasing. People, and the thing is that mints are coming out, and I feel like the period of the mint period on this coin was too long. Eight years is just way too long for the inflationary period. Like, in my opinion, all he had to do, he still could have gotten mass adoption, but it should have been like a 1 year inflationary period, which builds that fear of missing out, gets people in, and then after that first year, drop it down to where you can only mine, a little bit. It just kind of, goes down. But whatever he's deciding to do, I think he's trying to get mass adoption. He did work from Google. That I'm talking about Jack Levin, and I think he's utilizing what he's seen and then what he sees in DeFi, and he's applying it to Zen as an experiment. I kind of feel like maybe he was disappointed about the NFTs, because I really feel like he expected it to burn more. The problem is you're giving away for free, and the supply is so large. So with these exchanges actually holding the price, and what I've realized is that they're actually holding up the price of Zen, because they're not selling it, right? The only people that are selling it are the people inside the exchange that are selling a small percentage of this amount. So they're holding 700, that's a million, that's a billion. They're holding 736 trillion coins, or whatever. Forgive me if I'm getting this wrong. They're holding that many coins. And if you kind of look at here, you can subtract it, from here, the liquid supply. So they're holding a pretty large chunk of the overall market itself, and they're not selling it. And these people, maybe not selling it either. But that kind of argues the point that you have to have a centralized body that doesn't sell. And so what I'm not buying with Zen is the fact he says he didn't talk to any exchanges, that they just listed it. And I don't think that's true. And the reason I don't think it's true is just recently, Texan token was released, was dropped, and they did a silent drop. They didn't just put it out through any mediums. It showed up in my wallet. I thought it was dust. And if I go to the Etherscan on Texan token, you can see on the holder side there is no exchange money that bought it. As a matter of fact, the guy that owns the token, or not owns but started it, those guys, Rags to Riches, said that he was approached by a number of different exchanges that were like, hey, can we list this? Can we list this? Can we list this? And he told them flat out no. So I think the narrative behind Zen, Jack is telling people that, I didn't give them advice to add it, but I think they added it because he gave them that advice, and he let them add it because he knew that somewhere somebody has to be a QA, somebody has to hold these coins, or the price is just going to drop straight to zero, because everybody else here is going to sell it. They're going to sell out of their positions. 90% of the people that are going to arbitrage the price, they're going to sell it. They're not buying unicorns or NFTs just for the sake of it. And I don't buy the argument that the price doesn't matter, because the price does matter. The price matters a lot. It matters so much. And I said this on a comment, and this is on one of your friend Sami is the guy that's really cool that I follow, and I was just making an observation. But I said the one thing that kills me about Zen is that Jack and everyone keeps saying it's not about the price, but it's all about the price, because really from what I've seen, like I said, the only entities holding up the price are those three exchanges. He's like pumping the idea, but the fact is that anybody holding it, anybody participating in it right now who's not making multiple accounts in their wallet and not, they didn't arbitrage, they're not getting rewarded for holding Zen. Like, you're not getting rewarded. The pumps are there, but they're not sustained. And so the price is going to slip, but somebody has to hold that price. And he said something interesting, with two scenarios. Like, it could be mind infection, like for the first few years, he's just trying to get people to think of like Zen, not think about the price, and then just do this closed circle. And you should follow him and follow his videos about the closed circle Ponzi, which is like where Zen is basically headed. And then he also said it's not about price because Jack genuinely misunderstands crypto goes up. Like, in my opinion, Zen is a great idea. The mistake is thinking that you could give it away for free and people will think clearly and purely about it and treat it that way. It's not. People are more concerned about the pump. Nobody would buy it if they didn't think it would go up. And so that kind of leads me to my final conclusion on this coin, because say what you must, any of these coins you buy, any investment you make out, even if you buy a house, you're gambling that that house or that product or this company, is going to do well so that you get paid a return in the end. You're not putting your money in a place because it's just for the good of the people. I mean, you're thinking like China at that point. You're thinking communism, socialism. And those people are still participating in capitalism. I mean, 90% of the things we have are all made in China. So my thought process with Zen, considering when I talked to you guys here last, about that exchange buy, these exchange buys help sustain the price somewhat before, gave Jack some time to talk about NFTs. And then there's this rumor, there it is right here, trying to get back. So that reflection token has got to be coming out really soon. It needs to come out soon. Two big mistakes was increasing the burn factor from 10 million to 250 million, because that killed it right there. And then the second one I would say is, again, just lack of price goes up thought theory. If anything, I would be telling people to buy it, like buy it, buy Zen, buy it. But here's what I'm thinking at right now. Right now, the supply. Okay, if we're gonna think about what Zen's supposed to do in 8 years, the massive supply of it is like it's overly massive. But there's a massive supply flooding the market. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Someone else in this space is thinking about making a coin called Phoenix, and the coin Phoenix is you're supposed to be able to get that coin by burning an amount of Zen. And I don't understand these people. He's saying, oh, to get Phoenix, you can burn 10,000 Zen tokens. But I'm like, that's so dumb. The supply on this is going to be infinite, right? And so I'm like, you should make it like 1 million and then like make that follow the bell curve of how Zen's going to burn, right? And the reason, like, I would say if you're going to make a token that burns and you want the burn rate high is because you want to build value into your coin somewhat. You don't want, it's nothing for somebody to go on right now and just take 10,000 Zen and burn it for another coin, right? So like, let's say you got 10,000 Zen at this current moment. 10,000 Zen is only worth 1 cent. So it's nothing. You need to build in some kind of value into your project. You need to force people to hurt a little, at least 18 cents. Or, equal it out to about $1. Hey, you want to get this token for free? You have to burn 500 million coins. Make the value equate to the cost of the coin that you have. Try to build value in it. Because if people have to risk, again, they're expecting things to go up. They need to risk something of value, not something that's technically free. In my mind, anything less than 1 million is free with Zen right now, because the supply is so freaking large, and it's just going to keep growing. It's going to keep getting bigger, and it's going to keep getting bigger. Again, there's that 8-year time frame, which in my mind is way too long. And people are thinking that people are nice and care about this. They don't care. People don't care. People only care about money. We care about what the value is or the price is going. So at the current rate of time with where we're at, I'm looking at it like this. Right now, nobody gives a crap about Zen. They only care about what the price is, where it can pump, and how much money they can make, and how many wallets they can mint, or how many NFTs they can sell to make a profit. That's where people are right now. Then they're sitting on hundreds of thousands of wallets, hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit, and their minds are racing about the first 365 days on how am I going to sell this and not get destroyed by these guys in front of me. My whole thought on Zen, if I was to give it a risk asset, a 50-50, it's 50-50. 50% that it will go up and it'll be adopted because it's valued, and 50% that it'll go down because everybody's going to try to arbitrage the price for the next 8 years and it's going to be failed. Is that if it's going to have value in the future, if Jack figures out a way to work on this token, or this reflection token, and make it in such a way that it effectively burns Zen, because the NFTs aren't doing that. But if it effectively burns the price of Zen, all of these dumb people that are selling their Zen on the market are going to be FOMOing back in to get Zen so they can participate in this token, especially if that token has like a stronger monetary value or point to it. So the game at play is that, I'm looking to buy as much liquid Zen I can get right now, because right now the supply is tremendous. It's massive. It's there's so much of it that I can pick up. Why would I wait 365 days for 25 million Zen when I can just go ahead and buy it now? Or I could buy 100 million or have 200 million. And it's like, I would rather just have 200 million liquid just so that I have it than wait a year down the road. And yeah, I'm going to get it for free, but it's going to be not worth my time, because my time's not being rewarded. Even if you're holding, your time is not being rewarded. So at this point, there's so much of it out there in existence. I'm trying to buy it up as much as I can, not because I want to burn it, not because I want to turn it into an NFT, but I want to have it. If people start implementing protocols on this coin that cause an effective burn on the coin, I want to have this coin liquid, because if they do it effectively and the supply starts to get ate up at a pretty decent rate, like any economy. So if they build a small economy on Zen Crypto with projects like Phoenix, where, Phoenix will burn a certain portion to create that coin, or somebody else comes out with another token, like an endowment token similar to Texan, or comes out with a hex type token where it's like you have to burn this much Zen and then you get this much allocated tokens on this drive. If a community begins to get built off of it, all of these dumb people, I say dumb people, they're not dumb, they want a quick butt. I mean, Texan token launched out and people are selling their stuff for $30, which is so dumb, because the market cap on Texan token right now is like $3 billion. But anyway, I digress. Not really all about market cap, but people are selling it because the value itself hasn't found a mark yet. They're selling it for the money. The free money's there, and they're moving on to the next. They don't care about Zen. They're going on CoinMarketCap. They're going on Twitter. They're looking for the next project that they can get into as soon as possible, as fast as possible. Like, they could care less about you. They can care less about me. They just want to make a profit. But I'm looking at it on this perspective of how can I position myself in a way to basically, take value from that particular situation. And if these projects, who says that the next project that doesn't come out on Zen is like really cool, really good, worth a lot of money? I want to have Zen to sell. I want to be sitting there with a large stack of Zen and say, hey, you who basically drove the price down, and, Zen price retraced back up to, 1 cent. I want to have a large stack of Zen where they sold it all. Now they have to buy it from me up here. And that's my play on it, because it can go both ways. What I learned about Hex when it came out is that Hex did a dip too. Not as bad as Zen did, but there was a period of people not understanding and people hating the whole project. And even myself looking at Zen, I almost did not participate into it until I just I was like, you know what? It is a risk, but it's $5. Let me mint. And, I did. And then I mint it. And then the more I look at it, the more I started realizing, you know what? I think this is something I want to be a part of. Because people don't understand, I think, the value of what Jack's trying to build in the income, or at the end of the outcome. So the end of the outcome, therefore, being is that he wants millions of people in this coin, just like millions of people use Google, just like millions of people use Gmail, like millions of people use Google Sheets, like millions of people use Google Drive, millions of people use Google Pay, millions of people use Google Ads, millions of people use Google Maps, millions of people use Google Business, millions of people use Google Words. I mean, that's like 9 projects built off of one idea. And what he wants is a community so large that when JP Morgan or when a massive bank is looking at the space, they're going to look at what does this coin have to offer? Does it pass the Howey test? Is it a security? Do we like it? Do we not like it? If we don't like it, we need to get the SEC involved so we can destroy it. And you got to think, I'm thinking like that because they'll be able to attack, and they'll have that financial capability to attack or destroy whatever blockchain they want to destroy. So if they're looking at Zen, they're going to be looking at those things. And so far, Zen, as it's come out, has passed all of those things. It wasn't a public offering. It was just offered as it was. People arbitraged the price. Some people got hurt. Some people made money. But at the end of the day, it would pass that test. And if millions of people are on the coin, they might look at that financial opportunity and therefore target the community. But the only people that will benefit will be those people in the long run that have a majority hold stake in the coin itself. If you sell all of your Zen and you don't have it at that time, and when the price of the market in general, including Bitcoin, goes up, like, it's going up now, but then when it levels out and it's not dipping, up and down anymore, there's no more volatility. When the price reaches that status quo, you'll be like the person owning Coca-Cola when it first came out, like having 1 million shares of Coca-Cola and then passing that down to your grandkids 5 or 10 years later. That's how we have to start looking at the space. But nobody is looking at the space like that. 90% of the people want a quick buck. They want to make money. And so if we don't look at the space like that, we're going to get steamrolled when new things start coming out, and then we can't play. So that's my play on Zen. I'm trying to grab as much of it as I can. I don't care where the price goes. Of course, I said don't care about price. I do care about the price, but as far as where I buy it, I don't care where I buy it really at this point. In my mind, the lower it goes, the better, because 50%, right? The lower it goes, the better. The more coins that I can pick up once the burn rate starts getting efficient, not just on Zen itself, but on people that want to support and help the community, and they see, wow, there's millions of people that use Zen. I can market my project to them because they have Zen, and then they can burn it. It's no different than what's happening to Hex, right? Same thing's happening with Hex, with Icosa, with anybody in the community with Hex who sacrificed for PLSX. I can't tell you like how many projects I've been able to get for free just because I sacrificed for PulseX. Texan token, one of those projects. PPUSDC, one of those projects. I'm able to get free tokens just because I participated. And so Zen, all Jack did was just look at what was going on with Hex and he copied it. But he, to his credit, is a marketing genius because he got it across the world. It wasn't just America with, a tiny community of people that are in Hex now. Hex does have a race car, has all that cool stuff. But Zen in itself is everywhere. Like, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. It's worldwide. And so when you got to think a bull market kicks off, a lot of eyes are going to be gravitated to it. And companies are going to see that. Coin makers are going to see that. Businesses are going to see that. And so if you're in a place where their influence can reach millions of people, they're going to take advantage of that. And they don't want clout on it. They don't want to deal with hassles on it. They want to make, hey, is this thing vetted by the SEC? Is it a security? No. Is it good? Yeah. All right. Hey, we want to target this community. Let's create payments available to people who hold Zen for Netflix. Let's create subscription payments for people who hold Zen. If you're a Zen holder, you can be a part of our new social media platform. All you have to do is donate 5,000 Zen. I like that platform. I need to get Zen. They're going to go buy it. It's going to pump the price up. Or they're going to go mint it. And then they go to mint it. They'll realize, man, it's going to take me 365 days to get 10 Zen. It's not worth it. I think I'll just go buy it. You see what I'm saying? I think it's a whole nother mind game of how things are going to go. And it you can't see it now. All you can see is just the fighting and all that stuff. But I remember like being a kid and watching the .com bubble and seeing like websites change and how like they've narrowed down, like how Facebook has narrowed down, how Google has narrowed down. And it's not going to be any different for blockchain. You just have to make sure you find that one that does it. And that, honestly, in a nutshell, I know I've been talking for 30 minutes, is the only reason I'm involved in Zen. period. That's the only reason I bought it. That's the only reason I sacrificed for it. Of course, paying ETH to get it. And every other project that I look at, I'm kind of putting it under the same radar. So there's a lot of cool projects out there. Oh, as well as with that, I mean, I don't get paid to talk about this. This is just stuff that I'm learning. And so, I mean, I like to share this stuff, but I share it with a grain of salt. Like, man, if you're buying anything, it is a bear market. Like, yo, anything you buy can go to zero. You can lose all your money. I'm negative in positions. I'm being dead open. Like, I haven't made millions of dollars or anything like that. It's like I discovered crypto at the top of a bull market, and now I'm going through a bear market, and I'm seeing how things get built. You know, Twitter's quiet. Like, if you go on Twitter now, you're not going to see people like, oh, moon boys going to the moon, all that kind of stuff. Like, you're not going to see that on Twitter or anywhere. You're going to see the news saying crypto's bad. You're going to see the news bashing it, and then you're going to see all this other crap. But I almost guarantee you 1 or 2 years from now, JP Morgan and Chase Bank, Bank of America is going to say, we're embracing blockchain technology. You know, we understand exchanges stole X amount of money, and we're not out that to do that to you. If you come with us, your wallet will be secure. Therefore, buy our CDEC coin, and you can make 30% interest on your money. Like, that stuff's coming, and it'll be coming like in 2 years. Meanwhile, all of us who hold these coins, like, people are going to hate us because they're going to say, you had an unfair advantage, because that's how the media is going to play it. They're going to play it like we had an unfair advantage, and then that there'll be more regulation that comes down. But beyond that, it's almost like if you get in on these, you're going to make the most. It's like finding Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's, like when it was first starting, and being able to be a part of that. You're going to make the most money. But if you find it later, you're just going to be taken advantage of, and there's no more that can be made. You'll be looking at your bank wallet with Bank of America just like you're looking at your 401k. Oh, if you get your bank wallet and you take 20% of your check and put it in there, you know, over 10 years you get this. Whereas we got into it and made our money to retire in a year or 2 years or 3 years. The narrative will change in accordance to the needs and the purposes of those who own majority of it. I mean, honestly. So DBI, this is a meme coin that's hilarious. Don't buy Inu. I like it if you look it up. It's just a guy that does memes on Twitter, and he started a coin. That's just one coin. I just was like, let me just be a part of that. PP, I think the time for claim is over on this, unfortunately. But if you stack for Pulse Chain, you could have got it for free. It's out there. So I got free tokens on that. SHIB I don't really care about. Just stay away from SHIB. Stay away from oversaturated stuff. Like, they've spin out. If everybody's talking about it, you know, Hex is good, but for someone, I'm not telling you not to invest in Hex, but if you're trying to get more of to be first, it's not necessarily a first coin, but I would say Hex is also, it's kind of more of like a stable long-term outcome. Hex is a good one to get into. Texan token, where I just launched. This is funny because when I discovered Texan token Friday, like I thought it was dust in my wallet. And I'm like, did somebody just drop dust in my wallet? And I started checking the card. I was like, no, it looks like they launched it. They just haven't announced it yet. And somebody had went in Uniswap and provided liquidity. I guess they went in, they put it at $1. So like I for a second I was like, yo, dude, I'm a millionaire. And then like I realized, wait, I'm not a millionaire because the liquidity's not there. Like you can't get $1 million if it doesn't exist. So in either case, if you want to look at Texan token, best tool for that chart, the most accurate is Dex Tools IO. So it launched out, and you know I just sacrificed for Pulse Chain for this. This sac phase is over. I got that for free. And literally, I mean it's out there. But what's cool about this one is it's more of like an endowment, where like actually you can lock up your tokens for a period of time, for a period of years, 1 year, 1 day. And unlike Hex, where like you can't scrape the interest off, you get penalized if you in stake. The Texan token lets you scrape the interest off of what your token makes over time, which is really cool. So like 5 or 10 years down the road, you could go scrape, and then you start with a base percentage rate. So you get 5% return on average, for the first year, and then that percentage rate goes up. But let's say 4 years down the road, you decide you want to scrape it. Well, that percentage rate is dropped back down to 5%, but you keep the principal that you had invested. It doesn't go anywhere. And what's really got me excited about this one particularly is the fact that the daggone market cap, they're trying to get it down, but it's like 2.4 billion. Like, I'm just like, anyway, again, another project that I'm involved in. And then of course, Zen, I'm not getting an NFT really. They have been growing wide. My whole plan on Zen really is just to have it liquid, just to own it. And just to buy it. If it goes down even more, I'm just gonna buy it and own it. I'm just gonna have as much of it as I can, so that I'll have enough to sell once they figure out their inflationary issues. But I think I've covered just a few of those. There's a lot of other projects out there I'm pretty sure I don't know about. These are just the few that I've discovered. And for me, they're the few I'm invested in them. I have invested interest in them. I don't, for you, if this is your first time, getting involved with the crypto world, just make sure whatever you get into, I think to be a good token, my own opinion, large community is number one. Very large, very strong community, lots of engagement. That's paramount, number one. Number two, full transparency from the token owner. And that doesn't mean you're always safe, because they can be like, hey, I'm here, and then bounce, just like they did with the exchanges, with Luna and the FTX. Just because they're in your face smiling doesn't mean they have your best interest at all. It's the same thing with these tokens. But it is a good thing to know that the owner or creator of the token, is out there. I could probably send a message to Jack and he might actually respond to it. That being Jack Levin. Same thing with Hex, Richard Hart. You can name the tokens and name somebody who's out there, who's in front of it. If you get into a token and you start asking questions and stuff, and you get nobody's everybody's off, you might want to not mess with that token itself. So large community, full ownership, transparency of someone who owns it, and kind of go from there. And then you do your best judgment on which ones you want to get into. Think about those long-term things of where's this coin going to be 10 years down the road? For instance, Facebook, everybody, when that stock came out initially, that stock dipped. Everybody dogged it. Everybody was down on it, but nobody bought it. But those that did bought it made a lot of money, honestly. Same thing with Tesla. Tesla came out. Nobody thought Tesla would be where it was at today. So a lot of these projects, think long-term too. Think long-term of how can this community bring value to a business, a major business that has more exposure and more money and is willing to spend money to get the people of that community to spend their money with them. And I think that's where tokens will start to transition, where they'll start to go. It's a no-brainer, right? Why should business owners and people fight us and fight, for the first few years? Why should they fight? And I think they're starting to figure it out. When all these individuals' money and their wealth is built in these projects, we can have them give that to us in some way, and that could benefit everybody. So some people, they're going to wake up and take advantage of that. I'm not talking about meta and the meta space, because there's already a game that exists, if you don't know about it, called Entropia Universe, that basically is a metaverse and is a real cash economy. Technically has NFTs in it, because everything in that game I'm talking about, just Entropia Universe, your ship is worth real life money if you wanted to cash out on it. But the sad thing is the withdrawal time. It takes weeks to get your money out, weeks, and then you can only withdraw it to a bank like Bank of America, which I hate, if you're trying to get your money out. But I'm not talking about that particularly, or NFTs. I'm talking about actual blockchain projects. NFTs are cool in my opinion. I think they will have a place to play, but it's going to require the involvement of established companies, for example, Rockstar, GTA 5. I love GTA 5. I used to play that game a lot. I don't play it as often, but imagine that in your game like GTA 5, they created an in-store did I say GTA 5? GTA 4, whichever one's out. But just imagine they had a marketplace in the game where like you built your car and you added extra things to it that were unique in game that you could do, and then you could sell it, but you could sell it for like a GTA dollar, but the GTA dollar had a real cost cash out. So when you were done playing the game, you could just sell everything you have and just cash out from the game and like get $500. Like, I think games should start going that way. They should start, but the nightmare is just the, like the tax liability, the SEC, being in security. A lot of folks are afraid of that because once they realize, hey, you got gambling in that game, there's a lot of stuff to think about. So, I mean, that's all I would have to say. Again, I don't make these videos very often, and they do come out. They get pretty long because, like I said, man, I've been sitting on, observation mode. Well, since when? Since November. I've been sitting on observation mode since November. And so far, some of my things aren't quite playing out. I'm not really seeing the S&P 500 crash out. I'm actually seeing it kind of test. If you look over the past where it started to dip, this is unique right here. This little moment in time right here is pretty unique. So we could see a small small run regardless, or we could see it, hey, go down further. There's a lot, you don't really know. Nobody really knows. Only God knows. But anyway, I hope that all this information helps you in some way. I probably will not post another video for maybe months or weeks. I still got other observations to make. I also realize that some of the stuff I say in this video, it could be absolutely wrong. So just owning that 100%. And I'll be back to you guys later when I get content that I feel like is effective and something that people need to hear. Otherwise, peace out. God bless, and have yourselves a wonderful new year. Later.